Deadly coronavirus officially hitting the U.S. Here's what we know.
So the coronavirus situation is still developing.
Lines outside a grocery store in Central Florida with anxious shoppers.
Schools across the tri-state area continue to either cancel classes or move to remote learning.
It wasn't until my best friend who was studying abroad in Italy came home, I realized, oh, this is really affecting like the other side of the world. I really started to notice more when schools here started to shut down. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like really gonna affect us. I had no idea it was gonna end up like this.
I remember getting the email notification from the president of our school. He said that the campus was going to be closed for the rest of the semester. It was such a surreal feeling getting that email. I didn't know what to think. I thought that I was going to be at college for 2 more months. I had a home there, I lived on campus, I had a meal plan. You know, there was a lot of security in that college campus for me, especially being an international student. I'm so far away from home. It's like a 20-hour plane ride back to Australia, and you know, travel at this point was so dangerous for so many. So I'm lucky enough to have loved ones and friends and family in the United States that took me in, and so I'm still here.
You know, as it's growing and growing, you kind of feel something in your gut, like something's going to happen soon. You just don't know what. And a couple weeks later, you know, we get a text from our coaches saying, got to come back. We got to have a team meeting at 3:30. I said, listen, like, sorry this is happening, but, you know, all sports are canceled, campus is closed. And then we had to be out of there in the next, like, it was 25 hours. We got the news at about 3:30, had to be out there the next day at 5 p.m. That was interesting, especially for, you know, me and 2 of my roommates. Obviously we're Canadian, and our parents kind of had to drop whatever, come pick us up, take us home.
I'm very much so an anxious person, and I have a lot of anxiety when it comes down to health, my health and others' health. And so this has been probably the scariest time, I should say the scariest time, but a pretty scary time in my life. Every time I go out to buy groceries, I'm always afraid that I contracted it some way, somehow. It doesn't matter how safe I'm being, I'm afraid that I contracted it.
We've had people close to us pass from it, and we've although we haven't seen it firsthand like the doctors and nurses have, we've been able to get that information from the people who've had it, or rather their family members, since they passed. And yeah, it's an awful disease and it spreads so easily.
And at the epicenter of the U.S. pandemic, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is extending a stay-at-home order for at least 2 more weeks.
When in public, social distancing at least 6 feet.
The CDC now shifting guidelines, calling on everyone to consider covering up.
The economic damage caused by the coronavirus outbreak, and we are expecting a staggering number, a jump in unemployment, the worst 1-month loss in American history.
I didn't really bring anything home. I didn't know I was coming home until about 12 hours before my flight. So I brought home 4 shirts and 2 pairs of pants, and that's pretty much it. The day of my grandpa's funeral, I got an email from the school saying they were going to be giving a different company permission to go through all of my stuff and pack it and put it in a random spot on campus. It was for a good reason. They had frontline workers moving in. So like, what? I'm gonna complain about that? Obviously, they're more important than all of my things. I don't know when I'm gonna get my stuff.
I am a fine arts major, and so to be taken away from my studio and my support system at school, you could go up to anyone in the painting department, any class, any year, and just talk to people, and everyone was so willing to talk to each other and talk to each other about one another's work, and all of these just like awesome conversations that helped me grow as a person and as an artist. Like, I don't get that anymore.
So the second night I was home, I went and saw one of my buddies. You know, we had a bonfire, it was good, and then kind of the news started to get worse and worse, and you know, you're not supposed to go see your friends anymore. And again, like, understand it and just kind of settling into the reality that, you know, life's going to be a lot different.
For college students in particular, the graduating ones, like, I know for myself personally, I had a couple of jobs lined up in New York City for after I graduated, and now talking to those companies, like everyone has a hiring freeze, and it's scary. It's almost like the recession again.
After you realize that everything's closing down, then that leads to an economic downfall, which leads to layoffs and all that stuff. My father was laid off throughout this whole thing, which has been pretty hard. I then got let go from my internship, my one of my part-time jobs I was working on the side, and my graduate assistant job. So I, as of now, have no job and without any sort of income. But then you factor in now, it's like, well, when will I get a job? Because there's a lot of hiring freezes everywhere.
Myself as a person that's really reliant on being able to hang out with friends and, do different activities and just kind of keep myself busy to distract myself from some of the other feelings and emotions. It's definitely tough to not be able to do that.
Well, there is a bit of optimism in the race to find a treatment for the coronavirus. The nation's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says remdesivir has shown promising results in clinical trials.
Everyone's struggles is valid. I also believe that while things may be rough now, it could get worse, or it could be worse. So I'm really thankful and blessed that I am able to have the things in my life that I'm still able to have. So
it is really scary not knowing when we'll be, allowed out of self-isolation and lockdown, when the real world would kind of pick back up and start happening again. You can be mad and you can be sad about it, like you 100% are entitled to feel that way, and I did as well. It teaches you that life is too short to take anything for granted. College is even shorter. You just have to make the most of your time with your friends when you have those people around you. And when this is all over, I hope that everyone kind of realizes how important human connection is, how important their education is.
We are isolated, but we're not alone. So eventually when this is all over, have the boys over, have some friends over, have a good time.
Social media too. Social media is so important right now. People kind of dog on it. I do too. But I think right now it's so important. It's helping that everyone stay connected. I'm able to talk to my friends in Italy, and I'm able to talk to my friends who are halfway across the country, and I'm able to keep in touch with these people, and that's really, really special to me.
My friend's family, they bought a puppy right before this, so we've been puppy training. I try to keep busy as much as possible, and I feed my online shopping addiction. That also probably is a good coping method that I've been doing.
I've noticed is that we've had more of a sense of community during this quarantine. We try to support local businesses and take time to appreciate our essential workers, whether they be nurses, doctors, pharmacists, UPS drivers, or cashiers. We come together and support one another during some of the hardest times, and I think we'll be able to emerge from this quarantine more compassionate, thankful, and united.
I will run, I will rise, I will grow. I will climb to the place I belong. I will fight like the world's never known. Like the world's never known.
New Jersey love a parade, and what better way to celebrate the kids' birthdays who had to cancel their parties last minute.
Oh, a look at how New Yorkers are keeping the spirit alive despite this new norm.
CBS 2's Tara Jakeway now on how neighbors are helping neighbors.
That is the sweet sound from downtown San Diego every night at 8. It has become a way for people to show their appreciation for our healthcare workers during this pandemic.
Smoke, through the ash, through the flames, and it burns like a fire in my veins. In the end, you remember my name, remember like the world's never known, like the world's never known.